Okay, so having a preview of Ireland, New Zealand. I mean, for me, this is one of the two quarterfinals this weekend that are just mouth-watering just to the thought of looking at. I mean, two games, this and France and South Africa, I think are the real highlights of the weekend. Going straight into it, Ireland, I think, obviously look like the strongest team in the tournament right now. They beat South Africa physically, with physicality. They completely dismantled Scotland and made them look like they were the Newark B team in the middle of the Midlands. And they've just gone from strength to strength. This is built off of 4 years of campaigning where they've beaten New Zealand multiple times. They've grand slammed the Six Nations, I believe, and they just look strong as hell. And they are starting to show their true strength in this World Cup. Their attacking prowess is pretty much unknown to this point. I don't mean unknown as in, like, we didn't know how good they were. They were very good at playing a very simple style of attacking rugby. Now they're playing some incredible rugby with some really great set moves that I've not seen before. I'm talking about some of the tries that we saw against Scotland specifically. We saw Gibson Park coming in at fly half. Sexton doing the merry-go-round around all of his own players to then set up someone on the outside. And really, it's a creative flair in that backline and backfield that is just absolutely sensational. On top of the fact that they have a forward pack that's carrying-wise and breakdown-wise, both attacking and defensively, is probably one of the strongest in the tournament. So they are looking really, really strong. I mean, there must be some kind of lucky charm or something that they've brought to also get over the fact that they always choke at World Cups. Yeah, that's probably it. Anyway, there are some concerns for Ireland. We've got reports that James Ryan, Lowe and Hansen could all be injured. That's two of their starting wingers and a really instrumental piece of their pack. So this is a really significant factor, and it's something that New Zealand aren't suffering from. Not too many injuries to report on their camp. Having a look at New Zealand, coming into the World Cup, they look like they started to see some form. Richie Mo'unga finally seemed like I don't want to say lived up to the potential. That seems like he wasn't trying. Of course he was trying, but Richie Mo'unga finally looks like the 10 that he is at the Crusaders. He's converting that now into international level, and he's looked sensational in many of the games that he's played. The only exception that I can really see for New Zealand's performance is their game against France, and that for me is the concern for why maybe this may be a step too far for them in the tournament playing Ireland. They've got a wealth of choices with their backline. D-Mac came in at fly half against Uruguay and put the Big Mac down on the Mac Daddy. Not sure that works, but they've got a wealth of options, and it seems that they're starting to work out how to use their Holy Trinity. If anything, though, this might add up some selection confusion for Ian Foster, who's sometimes been known for not selecting the right side for the right time. For me, it's always seemed to make sense of having Richie Mo'unga at 10 and Beauden Barrett at the 15 shirt backing him up. Reason being, it allows Richie to attack the gain line and be more attacking and not have to worry about the defensive duties and the placement duties and stuff like that. And should he go in for a tackle or should he be caught on an outside line, then Beauden Barrett can always fill in. And Beauden Barrett has a great job of covering in the back and the 15 shirt and being able to boot it back to the opposition. D-Mac comes in and confuses things in my mind. D-Mac has played well at 10 and 15, but really jarred me in the warm-up games against Argentina, where, I say games, I mean game, where I felt like New Zealand, all of their members of their starting team from that game probably got an 8 or 9 out of 10, but D-Mac was, he was the exception, more like a 5 or 6 out of 10, and he didn't have any of that joker swag that he usually had with kicks. Everything was just kind of not great. And you don't want to base a performance against Uruguay to be a selection of, all right, D-Mac's got the confidence he needs to back in the squad. So what did New Zealand do? Well, hopefully, for my eyes, I think they played Mo'unga at 10 and they played Barrett at 15. And we have a bit of a better game from them than they had against France. For me, I think their game against France, both teams looked nervy and jittery, and perhaps both of those teams are kind of over those jitters. It's easier to say to France because I felt like they've looked more dominant in the other games they've played. New Zealand on the scoreboard have looked dominant, but at times haven't looked like they've absolutely clicked for a full 80 minutes. I think the Uruguay game was maybe the exception to that. Italy, they also looked very, very good. So I don't know what I'm talking about. But something to me just makes me feel like France is is ready for the big occasion more than New Zealand are. So I don't know why. I think it's just a feeling. Really, actually being honest, there's probably absolutely no evidence for what I'm saying. But coming down to the matchup between the two of them, where do I think this game's going to be won? Well, for me, I think it's going to be the breakdown. I think we've seen especially with the game at Twickenham where New Zealand were playing South Africa, that once South Africa brought on the big boys to bully around the New Zealand boys in the pack, well, everything slowed down and the game no longer came to New Zealand as much as you would have hoped so. You know, we didn't get quick ball, we didn't see the creativity of all the players in the backline because they didn't get any go forward, and everything just started to crumble. And it seems if New Zealand don't have that forward momentum and the quick breakdown, then they're kind of screwed. And Ireland are pretty darn good at slowing down the ball. We saw against Scotland, they had one tackler in and everyone else just decided not to join the ruck as though, I don't know, it was not a good time, which I guess rucks generally aren't, but they did it and they managed to stifle any of Scotland's offloading game. This is going to be really key for me, and it's kind of why I'm going to be picking Ireland over New Zealand in this game.
Who the f*** is that guy?
Don't get me wrong, if all three players of Ryan, Lowe and Hansen are coming out, I may want to rethink about my prediction.
No givesies backsies!
But Ireland, looking in form, beating New Zealand again multiple times in the past, and they look like they ain't slowing down. So just think that Ireland have all the tools in the toolbox to take out New Zealand, that even though New Zealand look great and they can win in multiple ways, and it's just when they slow down, as South Africa have shown, things start to fall apart for them, and Ireland can really take advantage of that. So that's my prediction. I think Ireland win this game and New Zealand unfortunately will go home and Razor will take over for them, and things could be different for them in the future. But for me, I don't think this is their World Cup, and I think they're going to get ousted in the quarterfinals by Big Green. So yeah, that's enough for me on this review or preview.